Friends, I'm Bill Eagleson. I am here to do what I can to make sure you feel welcomed and welcome. When this task is a blessing for me from time to time, it will happen on the last Sunday in the month. And I will often say, if you think you're welcome today, wait till next Sunday, we'll feed you. Next Sunday, we will not feed you. Monthly meeting will not take place, and the meal that goes with it is not going to happen either. So I assure you, you're welcome today. You're welcome next week, but you won't be fed any time. And each person here's presence is important. We hope that it is important to that person, and we know that it is important to the rest of us and nourishes and fulfills our experience. So welcome. Stand as you are able, and let's sing together our congregational hymn number 144. 3 times through.
See brief word to set right our entry in the bulletin. My wife's last name is Gutzwiller, Gutzwiller. It's misspelled in the bulletin. And I really much prefer that we be called a singer and a pianist rather than the act and the accompanist. So Patricia Gutzwiller, piano. Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again, because a vision softly creeping left its seeds while I was sleeping, and the vision that was planted in my brain still remains within the sound of silence. In restless dreams I walked alone, narrow streets of cobblestone. Neath the halo of a street lamp, I turned my collar to the cold and damp, when my eyes were stabbed by the flash of a neon light that split the night and touched the sound of silence. And in the naked light I saw 10,000 people, maybe more. People talking without speaking, people hearing without listening, people writing songs that voices never share. No one dare disturb the sound of silence. Fool, said I, you do not know. Well, silence like a cancer grows. Hear my words that I might teach you. Take my arms that I might reach you. But my words, like silent raindrops, fell and echoed in the wells of silence. And the people bowed and prayed to the neon god they made. And the sign flashed out its warning in the words that it was forming. And the sign said the words of the prophets are written on the subway walls and tenement halls, and whispered in the sound of silence.
Good morning, everyone. I am Brenda Esch. I'm the pastoral minister here at New Garden Friends Meeting. And I thought the first thing I would do is a sound check, but I can hear me. Can you hear me? Okay. We've had a couple of glitches, and right now we were just checking the lights on the sides here, and it looks like maybe a breaker issue, which is fine because we're going to all just shut our eyes anyway. And we don't need bright lights, but we're checking on that, checking on sound, and if at some point you can't see or hear, that's okay. That'll be fine. I can't begin without saying how incredibly delighted I am to see you this morning. And I mean that in a very, many levels. But the personal delight of seeing some of you walk in the doors and in a way that surprised me a little bit, or folks who are back after a little bit being gone, people who were here yesterday. This is a remarkable gathering of people. The sound of sheer silence. From 1 Kings, chapter 19, verses 9 through 13, the Lord appears to Elijah. Elijah went into a cave and spent the night, and the word of the Lord came to him. "What are you doing here, Elijah?" And Elijah replied, "I have been very zealous for the Lord God Almighty. The Israelites have rejected your covenant, torn down your altars, and put your prophets to death with the sword. I am the only one left, and now they are trying to kill me too." The Lord said, "Go out and stand on the mountain in the presence of the Lord, for the Lord is about to pass by." Then a great and powerful wind tore the mountains apart and shattered the rocks, but the Lord was not in the wind. And after the wind, there was an earthquake, but the Lord was not in the earthquake. And after the earthquake came a fire, but the Lord was not in the fire. And after the fire came the sound of sheer silence. When Elijah heard it, he pulled his cloak over his face and went out and stood at the mouth of the cave. Any one of you who have seen the movie The Odyssey may be slightly distracted by the symbolism of the cave. But no, this is biblical. This is a moment of crisis, a great dissonance for Elijah, who has just run for his life. He is exhausted, terrified, bereft. "I am the only one left," he says. And that sound of sheer silence, which can be translated as gripping, perceptible stillness, a still small voice, or a whisper, is just enough to steady him. When he heard it, he moved to that space between dark and light, and he stood there, still feeling absolutely alone, but able to take a step. The sounds of silence that Alan just sang so beautifully conveys a similar feeling of dissonance. Not wind and fire, but noise and clamor, and a strong feeling of disconnection and isolation. People in that song are everywhere, but they are lonely in the crowd, unaccompanied. And the silence beneath all of that can become a growing cancer instead of a holy place. It can become utter isolation. But for me, there is hope at the end of that song in the whisper, in the sounds of silence. The loneliness and despair that both the biblical story and the song convey is primal, a feeling that most of us have known. It doesn't care whether you're alone on a mountain like Elijah or in a room full of people like this one. The feeling of loneliness can be the residue of grief. It can be a trauma response. It is not something to talk anyone out of. And I urge us to be careful not to do that, not to rush past the honesty of feeling alone or hurt toward quick reassurance or even dismissal. Stay curious. You would think after all these years of listening practice, we would be really good in moments that call for sitting in the discomfort and being a listening presence for someone feeling pain. I muffed it again this week with a family member. Within minutes of hearing about a really aggressive encounter, I was ready to move from the problem into the solution. I knew better, but I felt protective. And I could see the illusion that the person who had behaved aggressively was living in versus what was actually capital T true. Instead of patiently accompanying my family member in the pain of the moment, I rolled into spiritual problem solving too soon. I know you cannot rush or even guarantee healing. It's just that I had the privilege of perspective in that moment, seeing the bigger picture, knowing that we can realign with Spirit when we listen for and hear the sound of sheer silence beneath the upset. And I wanted that step toward the mouth of the cave for my family member. Our Quaker-adjacent theologian, Howard Thurman, wrote of an inward sea in every person, and beneath the noise and static of ordinary life, a place where that sea meets a boundless ocean, the ground of being, God, the Spirit within. Howard Thurman also spoke of a current running through each of us, the sound of the genuine. And his conviction was that if you can learn to hear that sound in yourself, maybe a whisper, you will begin to recognize it unmistakably in others. Thurman's whole spirituality is a refusal of the crowd's dissonance, the 10,000 people talking without listening. There is a frequency beneath the noise, waiting for us to hear it and to recognize its connection to the other and another and another. The natural world tells the same story. The biologist Merlin Sheldrake has spent years studying fungal networks, the threads of mycelium that run beneath forest floors, invisible, connecting trees and plants that look from above ground like separate individuals living separate lives. They are not separate. Water, carbon, chemical signals of distress and of nourishment move between them constantly along a web most of us will never see. In his book, Entangled Life, Sheldrake describes each connection in that underground web as a fungus with a life of its own agency, its own giving and taking, and yet never severed from the larger network it belongs to. What looks like singularity from the surface is always a connection we may not have the inclination or the discipline to perceive. Have you seen the mushrooms popping up this week? In the grass, in the woods, anyone? The little ones, the big ones? Those mushrooms are just the tip of the fungal iceberg, a brief, visible bloom on top of a network far larger and more permanent underneath. That quieter frequency of abundant connection just below. In 1661, Quaker Isaac Pennington wrote, "Give over thine own willing, give over thine own running, give over thine own desiring to know or be anything, and sink down to the seed which God sows in the heart, and let that grow in thee, and be in thee, and breathe in thee, and act in thee. And thou shalt find by sweet experience that the Lord knows that, and loves, and owns that, and will lead it to the inheritance of life, which is its portion." Isaac Pennington suggests that something is waiting for us to which we already belong. He's pointing at something already planted, already in existence, sturdy, extensive, eons in the making, something that doesn't need our striving to make it real. It only needs us to sink down far enough out of the wind and earthquake and fire to notice, to hear its breathing. That's what Elijah found at the mouth of the cave. A presence so quiet and profound that it had to be met with a covered face and held breath. The sound of sheer silence. It was enough to send him back out into the world, still low, but no longer, perhaps, believing that he was all alone, because he wasn't. The people talking without listening are not the end of the song or the story. The thoughtless text message, the petty comment made in passing that strikes the heart, underneath all of that, planted and waiting, there is a silence that whispers to connection and truth. In a season of grief, you may not be able to hear that frequency. In recovery from trauma or upset, the mouth of the cave may be beyond your reach. So maybe, in the spirit of accompaniment, we can say that you are not required to feel connected in order to be carried. You do not need to feel vibrant to belong here. Give over thine own willing, give over thine own running, and know that you are held, even in the dark. As we settle into waiting worship, may we look toward the mouth of the cave and listen for the whisper. May we accompany others, sit beside them, and listen to their pain. May we together amplify the sheer silence, the still small voice, so that all may hear it, breathe it, and believe it.